Why do humans accept the reality they are handed? About 2,500 years ago, across the Gangetic Plains, that acceptance fractured. Within a short span, 62 distinct new philosophies emerged to openly challenge the existing order. The post-Vedic world operated on a rigid hierarchy. Social status was strictly inherited, and religious life was dictated by complex, exclusionary rituals controlled entirely by a narrow elite. In the Shakyan Republic, a young prince named Siddhartha encountered what his sheltered life had hidden: an old man, a diseased man, a wandering ascetic, and a funeral procession. The stark reality of inevitable physical decline and death shattered his isolated worldview. But there was also an immediate political catalyst. Historical records, highlighted by scholars like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, point to a looming conflict over the sharing of river waters between Siddhartha's state and a neighboring power. Opposing his own people, who were pushing for violence over this dispute, Siddhartha made a definitive choice. He walked away from his family, his royal privileges, and his inheritance, an act known as Mahaparityaga. The traditional institutions offered no mechanism to resolve the universal suffering he saw, nor the political violence he narrowly avoided. Leaving the palace was a practical necessity to find a functional cure for human misery. After years of wandering and meditating under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya, he attained enlightenment. Siddhartha emerged as the Buddha. He traveled to Sarnath to deliver his teachings to his first 5 disciples. This moment, identified as Dharma Chakra Pravartana, introduced a framework for human existence based on observable cause and effect rather than divine decree. The Buddha observed that the world is filled with sorrow, caused directly by human desire in a continuous cycle. To break that cycle, he proposed the Eightfold Path. Daily practices, right view, right action, right livelihood, right effort, systematically sever the link between desire and sorrow. He communicated this logic through a visceral human experience. When Kisa Gotami came to him carrying her dead child, begging for a cure, he did not offer a mystical resurrection. Instead, he told her he would bring the child back to life on one condition. She had to procure a handful of mustard seeds from a single house that had never experienced death. Gotami went door to door. Every family she visited had lost a mother, a brother, a child. She realized that mortality and sorrow are universal constants, translating Buddha's complex logic into a harsh, undeniable reality. Because the Buddha taught in Pali, the language of the common people, his methods were highly accessible. His disciples later compiled these practical rules for living into the Tripitakas. Buddhism succeeded because it provided an actionable system. It removed the need for divine intervention and placed the tools for liberation directly in the hands of the individual. Simultaneously, another Kshatriya was pursuing his own rigorous method of liberation. Vardhamana Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankara, also abandoned his clan in search of enlightenment. His approach required absolute physical and mental discipline. After 12 years of severe penance, he conquered his worldly attachments and earned the title of Jina. Jain philosophy rests on 5 moral pillars: ahimsa, satya, asteya, aparigraha, and brahmacharya. The commitment to aparigraha, absolute non-possession, was so intense it created a religious schism. The Shwethambara sect wore white clothes, while the Digambara sect rejected clothing entirely as a worldly possession. This extreme asceticism inspired intense devotion that physically reshaped the landscape. In Karnataka, the 57-foot Gomateshwara statue at Shravanabelagola illustrates the scale of Jain influence, its sheer size reflecting the weight placed on absolute renunciation. Together, Buddhism and Jainism offered logical systems for spiritual liberation through self-governance. They proved that a person did not require a priest to navigate their own existence. The same drive for self-governance that transformed spiritual practice also reshaped the organization of society. The dominant political landscape of the Gangetic Plains consisted of 16 Mahajanapadas, large kingdoms like Magadha and Kosala, controlled by absolute monarchs. But alongside these massive kingdoms, a counter-movement thrived.
Several states operated as Ganarajas, or republics, actively rejecting the concept of a single hereditary ruler. The most prominent of these democratic experiments was the Vaji Union, headquartered in the city of Vaishali.
This comparative structure shows the operational mechanics of the Vaji Union. Instead of the top-down hierarchy of a monarchy, Vaji used the decentralized assembly on the right, a Sabha. Here, elder and younger representatives met to debate and vote on state administration. Within this assembly, power was intentionally distributed. Every member of the Sabha was addressed equally with the title of Raja, effectively stripping the term of its monarchic exclusivity. These Ganarajas were the earthly mirror to the era's spiritual rebellion. They demonstrated that political power, like spiritual authority, did not have to be concentrated in the hands of a single elite. The 6th century BCE stands out as a distinct epoch where humanity actively dismantled the structures it had inherited. In both the forests where ascetics meditated and the assembly halls where representatives voted, people successfully broke the dogmas of cosmic authority and earthly rule. It forces us to look at the systems we accept today and ask which of our own unquestioned truths are waiting for a challenge.